Everyone, so this is dried, has cured now for well over a week. I wanted to make sure it was definitely all cured. It seemed to take a little longer to cure the second layer on top of this. I'm trying to get this last section of water to cure, and I think it's pretty good now. Like I said, I waited a whole week's time. I wanted to make sure that stuff was 100% ready to go. You know, with the shrinkage and everything, I wanted to make sure everything was going to look good. I mean, if I had to, I could pour another layer or half a layer if I had to, but it looks all pretty good now that it's all shrank and has the cloudiness is all gone. It's called the Dust Dabber. It's supposed to be part of the Woodland Scenic Water stuff. Now, I wasn't actually going to buy this, but I saw one of our fellow YouTubers, Mike Pfeiffer. He gave a pretty good demonstration of using this on his layout in several of his videos. And he used it to clean up his entire layout of dust and all sorts of stuff off of models, train cars, scenery, water areas, everything. I figured, you know what? I saw him use it on his layout, so I was going to pick some up and use it to help clean up some of my layout. I usually just use a vacuum cleaner, but this might be able to get some other stuff the vacuum doesn't. Oh, it is slimy. Look at that. It's like Jello. Okay. So yeah, it's slimy. Look at that. It looks like it's like, achoo! It's like snot. And it feels like Jello. Feels very, yeah. So this stuff actually does remind me of that slime stuff. I'm not sure if any of you guys had slime during the 1980s. For like Ghostbusters or some other stuff. But very slimy, very sticky. Like a big booger. Look at it go! It does stick to stuff. So apparently you're supposed to take this and say if this is your surface, you're supposed to just do that with it. And we'll try it later on the layout. I want to show you what it looked like, and like it's slime. It does. And I do have some junk on the layout, so I want to get just a little bit of this out. So I'm just going to do it like how they say here, and just dab around and pull off any of the dust. There's a little bit here and there. I'm not sure if you can see that. Did pick up some dirt. And apparently, you're not really supposed to wash it off or anything. You're supposed to just put it back in the container. But I'm going to try to pull some of the dirt material or the little canoers. So I have two boats here, and I need to glue in these people into these boats. You can see they're really tiny. I do have a magnifier, so it is one that can sit down. So I do have some just regular Tessler's model glue here. I'm going to put a little out on a paper plate, and then I'm going to use a toothpick to put the glue on. So those are the two boats, the two canoers, and I'm gluing in those figures. Those you're going to probably need at least, I'm guessing, half a day to dry before I would stick those on the layout. So this is where we're going to be putting the boats in. So one's going to be by the dock, another one's going to be over here, and the other's going to be up here. And then we'll start adding the water effects and adding the we got the waterfall we're going to put here. It needs to be trimmed a bit. It's a little bigger than what it should be, so I do have to cut it a little bit, but that's the one that's going to go there. And I know that's going to take a while to dry, probably at least a day or two, but if I can glue that in today, the waterfall, and put the boats in today, I'll be happy. I'm going to start with the little John boat. wake on it, on this one, and then there'll be small wakes on these. Like I said, I'm not going to be worried too much about putting in the water effects around the boats until they're dry and they don't move. So once they don't move, then because if I go in there with the brush right now, what's going to happen is it's going to move the boat around. Okay, so we got the boats in. We're going to try to do the waterfall. I know what's going to be. This is as close as I can get you. You can see I'm trying to add turbulence up along the rock wall there. There's going to be turbulence pretty much all up in there. And I'm probably going to add more once that dries. But I don't want to add too much right now. I just want to make sure the waterfall section dries. You can see the waterfall is in there. You can't tell it's in there because it's translucent. You can see that there's some of it, it's not dry. Not all of it's dry in here, but you can see that the water effects, if I put this light on it, that it's there, it just needs more. And then I need to go back over it and paint it with a dry brush. So I ended up just buying this stuff here, which is the white water highlight. This I got for like $2. I thought this is worth it because my acrylic paint that I have that I paint my buildings with, those are artist acrylics, and a tube of titanium white is like $8. It's not cheap. This little section over here, this is where I'm going to put the camper or caravan. There's going to be green stuff here, but this area here I thought dirt originally. Now I'm thinking maybe I want to make it kind of muddy. So I'm thinking like different ways I could make mud. And I came up with, I just tried this as an example. So basically, it's the water effects that I used to make the waterfalls. And I added 1 drop of the Woodland Scenic Murky Tint to the water effects and let it dry. And you can see it's a little, it does look pretty good for mud. I mean, I think it looks really good for mud. It is translucent in some areas, so you could probably put down, I'm thinking, the Woodland Scenic dirt material, and then stick this on top, and it gives you a shine. This is a little too cratery. Maybe what I want to do is make it look like there's tire marks or something, and maybe the mud's not as high, but it does look very muddy-like. Gives you the, you know, the shine that mud would have when it's weathering up. The different signs and stuff I put on my building. So this is at sort of sporting goods shop slash bait shop. I had added a lot of these signs where you have to cut out of thin piece of styrene, and you can see if I first put it on, you could see all the whiteness and stuff around the signs. You can't see it now because I did go over it with my weathering chalk and got the signs more weathered and weathered it into the building, so you cannot see the whiteness anymore. You got all the signs all weathered, so you can basically get rid of the whiteness. But see, when I bump it, there's still a little bit left on this one right back here, but the rest of them look pretty good. So that's what I've been doing, and all I've been doing with that is I take a little shavings off the sooty black or the brownish dirt color, and I put them in these little cups, and I just use my cotton swab, and I just go in there and you know, I just add a little bit, and like I said, this one here still seems to have a little bit on it. So I just go on there with the stuff, and then I go with the thicker swab and kind of swab it a little bit and blend it in, and you just do it for several minutes, and it makes it look a little bit better once it's all sort of blended in, and it makes the sign look old too. I mean, the building's kind of painted a certain way for, you know, see the painting on the building. You don't want something to look like a brand new sign either. You want to weather it down so it looks like it's been around for a while. So I continue to work on the kits and weathering stuff up and putting on all the other little details that I want to add. Obviously, it's all up to you if you want to add these little details. For me, I like it. I like adding all the little details. And hey everyone, so I'm going to add some more surface water. That's this stuff to that waterfall area and around there. Okay guys and gals, I know it's going to be hard to see, but I have added a couple fishermen along this rock. So you can see it's all dry except for the stuff at the top edge of the waterfall. But the wake and stuff on the back of the boat is dry. It's all in there. It's all going to be, and then all this here is dry. I'm going to zoom in there. I also added fishermen up on this rock, and then there's some other fishermen on some of the rocks back here. If I zoom out, so underneath here there's some. I'll try to give you a close-up, maybe a still picture, because it's really hard to get a close-up of this area with the video camera. It doesn't zoom in as good.